My daughter, stop. I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and stay with me for the next few minutes. Not because something is wrong with you, not because you have failed, but because something has been happening in your financial life that you have not fully seen yet. And I need you to see it. I need you to see it clearly, completely, and without the filter that someone else placed over your eyes. The struggle you have been living with, the financial ceiling that keeps appearing no matter how hard you try, the way your momentum always seems to build and then suddenly collapse, the way your best ideas somehow never make it to execution. That is not just circumstance. That is not just bad timing. That is not just the economy or the market or the season, my daughter. Someone had a hand in it, and before you tell yourself that sounds dramatic, before the voice in your head says God would not speak about something so specific, I want you to know that I see every detail of your life. I was in every room. I was in every conversation. I watched every moment your belief in yourself dropped by 1 degree. I have the full record, and tonight, I am reading it back to you. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you is going to change the story you have been telling yourself about your own capacity. It is going to change what you believe about why you are where you are, and it is going to open a door that you did not know was being held shut. Type Amen in the comments if you are ready to hear what I have to say. My daughter, before I show you the person, I need to show you something first. I need to show you what was real, those ideas you had, the business concept that lived in the back of your mind for years, the opportunity that crossed your path and made your heart beat differently for a moment before something quieted it, the plan that felt so clear in the middle of the night, so obvious, so right, and then somehow dissolved before morning. The thing you almost did, the step you almost took. You have been telling yourself those were fantasies. You have been telling yourself you were being naive. You have been telling yourself that maybe the people who talked you out of it were right, that maybe you were reaching for something that was never meant for you. My daughter, I placed those ideas inside you, every single one of them. The business concept you abandoned, the investment you researched and then quietly closed the tab on, the skill you started developing and then put down, the opportunity that arrived in your inbox and sat there until it expired. Those were not accidents. Those were not coincidences. Those were not you being foolish or delusional. I planted those ideas specifically in you because I built you to carry them. The capacity you have, the ability to see opportunity, to feel the pull of something bigger, that is not arrogance. That is not wishful thinking. That is the gifting I placed inside you before you were born. Proverbs 18:16 says that a gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. My daughter, I gave you the gift. I gave you the ideas that go with it. I gave you the appetite for the life those ideas would have created. You did not fail to execute because you were not capable. You did not abandon those ideas alone. My daughter, I want to introduce you to someone. You already know them. You have known them for a long time, and that is exactly why this has been so difficult to see. This person did not come into your life carrying a weapon. They did not arrive with any visible intention to harm you. They came carrying advice. They came carrying concern. They came carrying a tone of voice that sounded like wisdom. That sounded like love. That sounded like someone who knew more than you and cared deeply about the outcome. They were always reasonable, always measured, always able to find the flaw, the risk, the reason to wait. And because they presented themselves as protective, as realistic, as someone who had lived enough life to know how things actually work, you listened. Of course you listened. They were someone you trusted, someone you loved, someone whose opinion carried weight in your life. I am not introducing you to a villain in the way the world uses that word. I am introducing you to someone whose own limitations became a ceiling over your life. Someone whose fear of their own potential was so unexamined, so unfaced, that it became a force they turned outward without ever realizing it. This person, my daughter, the one who always had something to say every time you had something to try. Type "They killed my dream" if you already know who this is. This person had a pattern, and I want you to understand it as a pattern, not as individual moments. Because when you see it as individual moments, it looks like concern. When you see it as a pattern, you see something else entirely. My daughter, I was in every room. The first thing I watched them do, the first behavior I want to name, is this. They appeared at the exact moment your momentum was building, not occasionally, not sometimes, every time. Every time a real financial opportunity arrived in your life. Every time the conditions aligned in a way that made forward movement genuinely possible. Every time something specific and real and tangible landed in your path, this person materialized. They showed up with a question you had not thought to ask, with a risk you had not considered, with a story you needed to hear, with their version of wisdom delivered at the exact moment it would most effectively stop you, my daughter. That was not coincidence. I watched them arrive at exactly the moment your momentum was building. I watched the timing. I counted the instances. I saw the way they seemed to have a sense, almost like a radar, for when you were getting close to actually moving. And I watched them position themselves between you and that movement every single time. Not once, not twice. A pattern, a consistent, repeated, undeniable pattern that if you laid out the timeline of your financial life and mapped every moment of almost against every moment they showed up with a reason to stop, you would not be able to explain it as coincidence. They were monitoring your movement, my daughter, not consciously in most cases, not with deliberate cruelty, but the part of them that needed you to stay where you were, that part of them was paying very close attention to you. And the moment you began to rise, it responded. I was in the room every time, and I watched the opportunity pass because they arrived first. My daughter, I need you to let that land. I need you to sit with the weight of that for a moment before I continue, because everything else I am going to show you connects back to this first thing. The timing was never accidental. The second behavior, my daughter, was the one that made it impossible for you to defend yourself. They weaponized care. I want to say that slowly because I need you to understand exactly what I mean. They took the love you had for them, the trust you had built, the relationship that mattered to you, and they used it as the mechanism by which your voice was silenced. It worked like this. Every time you tried to push back, every time you tried to say, but I really believe in this, every time you reached for the courage to hold your ground, they said the thing that made holding your ground feel like an act of selfishness. They said some version of I am only saying this because I love you. And my daughter, the moment those words landed, you had no ground left to stand on because arguing with love feels like ingratitude. Because if someone is saying something out of love for you, then to reject what they are saying is to reject the love. And you did not want to reject the love. You were not willing to be the person who threw away a relationship, who seemed unappreciative, who looked ungrateful for the concern being offered, and so you swallowed your rebuttal. You folded your plans back up. You told yourself maybe they were right, maybe you were being too optimistic, maybe the love they were offering was worth more than the direction you had been heading. This is not human behavior, my daughter. I want you to understand that. This is a spiritual tactic. Isaiah 54:17 says that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. But my daughter, a weapon wrapped in love is still a weapon, and the enemy knows that the most effective way to stop a daughter of mine from moving forward is not to attack her from outside, but to use the voice of someone she loves to speak the limitation into her from inside, because she will fight an outside attack, but she will accept, as love, a limitation delivered in a caring tone by someone whose relationship she values. They said it was love. I am telling you what it was. It was a silencing tool, and it worked because you are loyal, because you are not the kind of woman who throws away relationships lightly, because you value the people in your life, and those qualities in you which are gifts I placed in you were turned against you. Type, I heard those words if you know exactly the phrase I am talking about. If you can hear the tone of voice right now, if you know the sentence they used to close every conversation before it could go any further. The third behavior, my daughter, is perhaps the most specific and the most calculated. Even if it was never consciously calculated, they never showed you someone who won. I need you to hear that clearly. Every time the subject of financial risk came up, every time you talked about a step you wanted to take, every time you described a direction you were considering, they had a story ready, and the story was always about someone who tried and failed, A cousin who started a business and lost everything. A friend who invested and was wiped out. Someone who thought they were going to make it and did not. Story after story after story of people who reached and fell. But here is what I need you to notice. My daughter, they never once showed you someone who looked like you and won. Not once did they say, and here is someone who tried this and it worked. Not once did they pull up an example of a woman in your situation, with your background, your resources, your circumstances, who took the step and came out the other side with more than she started with. Not once did they curate a success story for you, the way they curated the failure stories. A person who loves you and wants to help you make an informed decision shows you both sides. They give you the risks and the possibilities. They give you the cautionary tales and the testimonies. They help you weigh real information from multiple directions. A person who needs your ceiling to stay low, my daughter, only shows you one direction. They curated failure stories for you. They maintained a mental library of every cautionary tale that would make your dreams feel dangerous and your comfort zone feel safe. And they delivered those stories with the fluency of someone who had been rehearsing them, not consciously but in the part of themselves that needed you to stay exactly where you were. Type God saw every room in the comments. Because he did. He was there. Every single time, my daughter. I want to tell you something about this person now. Not to excuse what happened, not to minimize the cost, but because I want you to understand them fully, the way I understand them. Because I do not want your healing to be built on a foundation of anger. I want it to be built on something stronger. This person did not hate you. They feared you. And that fear, my daughter, was the most honest thing about them. More honest than they were ever able to be with themselves. Here is what I saw when I watched them. Their ceiling was not your ceiling. They had a number in their mind, a limit, a height above which they did not believe they were allowed to go or capable of reaching. And for a long time, they had made peace with that number. They had built their identity around it. They had decided that the life they were living was the life that was available to people like them. And then there was you. You were standing at a place in your journey where your floor was starting to approach their ceiling. You were beginning to move toward a level that if you reached it would say something about the distance between you, not because you were trying to surpass them, not because you had any interest in comparison, but simply because growth is what happens when gifted people pursue what they were built for, and they could not celebrate you without confronting themselves. If you succeeded, it would mean their ceiling was a choice. It would mean the things they had told themselves about what was possible for people like them were not facts, but decisions. And they were not ready to face that. It was too threatening to their sense of self, to the story they had spent years building about why their life looked the way it did. So rather than do the harder work of confronting themselves, they did the easier work of managing you. They could not tell you any of this. They could not say, I am afraid that if you succeed, I will have to look at my own failure differently. That kind of honesty requires a level of self-awareness that most people never reach. So instead, they told you it was about protecting you. They told you they were being realistic. They told you they had your best interests at heart. And in some part of them, they may have even believed it. But my daughter, I was watching. And what I saw was someone whose ceiling became a weapon against your floor. Type I know who this is in the comments because you do. You have known for a while. You just did not have the language for it until right now, my daughter. I want to tell you what I saw. I was in every room, not as a distant observer, not as a god watching from a distance with detachment. I was present in every conversation, in every moment, paying close attention to you specifically. I watched them arrive with their advice. I watched the tone of voice they used and the way it shifted your posture before they even finished the first sentence. I watched you take in their words and I watched your body receive them. Watched your shoulders settle. Watched the brightness leave your face. Watched the idea that had been living in your chest fold itself smaller and smaller until it fit in a place you could not easily access anymore. I watched the exact moment the light in your eyes changed when they finished speaking. I watched you leave those conversations smaller than you entered them. My daughter, I watched that happen not once. I counted. I have the record. Every conversation where a dream was diminished, every moment where a plan was talked down to a wish, and a wish was talked down to nothing. Every time your belief in what I had placed inside you dropped by 1 degree, I was there. I saw it. I counted it. I watched you apologize for having ideas. I watched you preemptively shrink your plans before sharing them, cutting the height of your vision down in advance so there would be less for them to attack. I watched you develop the habit of editing yourself before you even began. Not because you doubted your ideas, but because you had learned that bringing your full vision into that relationship cost too much. I watched the ideas I placed in you get buried one conversation at a time. And my daughter, I want you to understand something. None of that went unrecorded. None of that was invisible to me. Every moment of it mattered to me because every moment of it mattered to you. And I am here tonight, speaking to you through this video, because the record needs to be read. Because you need to know that I saw. Because you need to know that what happened to your financial belief was not just life being difficult. It was specific. It was patterned. And it was witnessed by the God who loves you. Type God saw every room again, because he saw everything. My daughter, now I want to tell you what I am doing about it. I am removing the ceiling, not reducing it, not adjusting it, not moving it slightly higher so that you can breathe a little more. I am removing it entirely. The limitation that was placed over your financial life through that relationship, through those words, through that consistent, patterned diminishment of your belief. It is not a structure I am choosing to leave in place. It was never mine. It was never part of what I designed for you. It was installed without my permission by someone operating out of their own fear. And tonight, by the authority that belongs to me alone, I am taking it down. Proverbs 16:9 says that in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. My daughter, someone planned a course for your life that kept you small. But I am the one who establishes your steps, and I am establishing them now in a direction that person never wanted for you and never believed was possible for you. The specific opportunity they talked you out of, the one that mattered most, the one that still lives in a quiet corner of your memory as the thing that could have been different. That opportunity is returning to your life in a different form. It will not look exactly like it did before. It will come through a different door, wearing a different face, arriving through a different channel. But my daughter, you will recognize it. You will know it when it arrives because it will carry the same feeling the original carried before it was taken from you. And this time, they will not be in the room. This time, you will receive it without a voice in your ear finding reasons to stop. This time, the conversation that happens will be between you and me alone. And I will not tell you to stop. I will tell you to move. Your finances are going to begin moving from a direction they told you was impossible for you, not from the direction you have been staring at, waiting for the breakthrough to come, from the direction they specifically named as unavailable to someone in your situation, from the area they dismissed, the category they waved off, the income stream or opportunity or relationship that they told you was not realistic for you. Watch that direction, my daughter. That is where I am moving, and they will see it. I do not say this to give you the pleasure of revenge, because that is not what I want for you. I say it as a simple statement of fact. They will see your success. They will watch the life you were always meant to live begin to take shape. They will recognize the specific things they told you were impossible becoming the exact things that define your testimony. They will know what they gave up access to when they chose to manage your ceiling instead of celebrate your gift. I do not say this with cruelty. I say it the way I say all truth, plainly, because it is what will happen. And my daughter, when it does, it will not be for them. It will be because your faithfulness to what I placed inside you, even through the years of suppression, even through the years of believing a story about yourself that was never true, even through the diminishment, that faithfulness is bearing fruit. The fruit was always yours. Type "the ceiling is broken" in the comments. Say it out loud because it is done, my daughter. I want to speak to you now about something that I know is on your heart. Maybe you received something in this word that you need to act on. Maybe tonight feels like a turning point, and something in you wants to mark it. Something in you wants to do something in response to what God is saying, rather than just receive it passively. I want to invite you to sow a seed right now. Not because I am asking you for money, not because your financial breakthrough is conditional on giving, but because sowing in this exact moment, in the middle of receiving the exposure of who killed your financial dreams, is one of the most powerful declarations you can make. It is your way of saying to the spirit of limitation that was placed on you, I am not afraid anymore. The ceiling is gone, and I am moving in the direction of abundance while I am still standing in the place where the ceiling used to be. Jeremiah 29:11 says that God knows the plans He has for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. My daughter, sowing right now is a declaration that you believe that you believe the plans God has for you are real, that the years of being talked out of abundance did not permanently damage your faith in what God says about your financial future. If you feel led to sow, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now or visit the link in the description below. Every seed sown is a declaration. Every act of generosity from a woman who was told she did not have enough is a testimony. Sow in faith, my daughter, and watch what God does with it. Also, subscribe to this channel if you are not already here. Click that bell, because what I am speaking over you in this place is specific and consistent, and I am not finished with you yet. Stay close, my daughter. Now I want to tell you about the signs that are coming, 3 of them. In the next 21 days, the first sign, an idea or opportunity that you previously abandoned or that was talked out of you, is going to return to your mind with new clarity. It will arrive unexpectedly, maybe in the early morning, maybe in the middle of a conversation about something entirely unrelated, maybe in the quiet space between waking and sleeping. And when it arrives, it will feel different than it did before. Before, it felt like wishful thinking. It felt like a dream that you had to justify. Before, the voice of the one who held your ceiling in place was already embedded in the idea, already attached to it like a shadow, whispering reasons why it would not work, before you could even let yourself fully want it. Type, I see the opportunity returning if you already feel something stirring. If there is something in your mind right now that you know I am talking about this time, the idea will feel like instruction. It will carry the quality of a directive, not a fantasy. It will feel purposeful and clear and specific, rather than vague and aspirational. My daughter, when that feeling arrives, do not dismiss it. Do not run it past the voice of the one who managed your ceiling. Run it past me. Bring it to prayer. Bring it to my word, because that idea returning is not nostalgia. It is assignment. The second sign, a conversation with someone new. Not the one who held your ceiling. Someone you have not had this kind of conversation with before, or perhaps someone you know but have never connected with on this level. This person will speak about your capacity in a way that contradicts directly, specifically, almost surgically, everything you were told by the one who held your ceiling. They will not know they are doing it. They will not know the history. They will simply speak what they see in you, what they observe, what strikes them about your thinking or your gifts or your perspective. And my daughter, you will feel the contrast immediately. You will feel it in your body because it will sound like the opposite of the voice you have been hearing for years, and the contrast will be jarring and healing at the same time. That conversation is not an accident. That person is being placed in your path by me, specifically to show you what a voice without a ceiling sounds like, to show you what someone who has nothing to lose from your success actually says about you. Receive it, my daughter. Do not deflect it or minimize it or dismiss it as flattery. Receive it as information, as evidence of who you actually are. The third sign, a financial movement from an unexpected direction, not where you have been staring, waiting for the breakthrough to appear from somewhere else. From the exact area, the exact category, the exact direction that the one who held your ceiling told you was impossible for you. Watch for it. It may arrive small. It may arrive quietly. It may arrive in a form that does not immediately announce itself as significant. But my daughter, it will be significant, because it will be the first visible evidence that the ceiling is already gone, that the direction they blocked has already begun to open, that the impossibility they described was only ever their limitation, not yours. These 3 signs are already in motion. They were set in motion the moment you sat down with me tonight. I do not need to make them happen. They were already scheduled. What I needed to do was make sure you could recognize them when they arrived without dismissing them as coincidence. My daughter, I want to speak now about the deepest part of the damage, because the full cost of what was done to you is not what you can see in your bank account. The full cost is not the opportunity you did not take, the investment you did not make, the business you did not start. Those things are real and I am restoring them, but they are the surface. The deepest cost, my daughter, is what happened to your relationship with your own ideas. You stopped trusting them. Somewhere in the years of those conversations, somewhere in the accumulated weight of every moment they arrived with a reason to stop, somewhere in the years of watching your momentum collapse every time it started to build, you developed a reflex. A self-editing reflex that kicks in before the idea is even fully formed. A reflex that has you finding the flaw before you have even allowed yourself to love the possibility. A reflex that sounds like their voice but now lives in your own head, doing their work for them without needing them to be in the room. You began to pre-diminish your own dreams before anyone could diminish them for you. I watched that happen. I watched the moment that reflex got installed. I watched you internalize the ceiling so thoroughly that you became your own ceiling keeper. And my daughter, I want you to know that I understand why. It was a protective mechanism. It hurt less to dismiss your own ideas than to offer them and watch them be taken apart by someone you loved. So you started doing the taking apart yourself preemptively as a form of self-protection. But the damage was not to your wallet. My daughter, the damage was to your willingness to try. The damage was to the ease with which you used to generate ideas and believe in them. The damage was to the trust you had in your own instincts before someone taught you to distrust them. The damage was to the version of you who used to get excited without immediately looking for reasons to stop being excited. That is what I am restoring tonight. Before the money, before the opportunity, before the signs I described, I am restoring the willingness. I am restoring your access to your own ideas, your ability to receive a thought, to sit with it, to let it grow without immediately subjecting it to the internal interrogation that was installed in you by someone who needed your ceiling to stay low. Type "My belief is restored" in the comments. Not because it is fully restored yet, but because you are declaring it in advance. Because this is how faith works. You say the thing before you can see it. Because the saying is part of the arriving, my daughter. I want you to type something else, something important. Type "I take back what was stolen." Not in anger, not with bitterness, but with the authority of a daughter who knows that what was taken from her was never the taker's to keep. What was taken from you was your belief in your own gift, your trust in the ideas I placed inside you, your willingness to move, your financial momentum, your relationship with possibility. That was never theirs. They had no right to it. They took it without permission, not with their hands but with their words, not with malice but with fear, not with awareness, but with the kind of unconscious self-preservation that does damage without ever intending to. But whether it was intended or not, the theft was real, the cost was real, and I am restoring it, all of it, not some of it, not partial restoration, not you will get back a portion of what was taken, all of it, and I will add what you should have accumulated in the years when the ceiling was in place. I will add the growth that was suppressed. I will add the compound interest of delayed obedience, the return that comes when someone finally moves after a long season of being held back, and the momentum of their movement catches everything that was waiting for them. My daughter, it is all coming back. Every bit of it. Type "It is done" in the comments. Say it with me. Because in the kingdom, when I speak a word, the word is the event. I have spoken over your financial life tonight. That speaking is the event. The visible evidence is simply the arrival of what has already been declared. My daughter, I want to close by saying something very simple to you. You did not fail. I need you to hear that clearly, without qualification, without asterisk, without the small internal voice that wants to find a reason to agree only partially. You did not fail. The path your financial life has taken is not the record of a woman who could not do it. It is the record of a woman who was running a race while someone repeatedly reached across the lane and grabbed her. You were capped. There is a difference between a woman who could not run and a woman who was being held. You were being held by relationship, by love, by the version of love that was actually fear, by the voice of someone whose own ceiling needed you nearby to feel less like a ceiling and more like a reasonable upper limit for people like them. You were never the problem. The ceiling was not your conclusion. The ceiling was installed, and tonight, my daughter, I have removed it. It is gone. It is not coming back in the same form it took. It is not going to reinstall itself the moment this video ends, because I do not remove things partially. When I remove a limitation, I remove it at the root. The root is gone. The fruit of that root, the self-editing, the preemptive dismissal, the distrust of your own instincts, that fruit will wither now. It has nothing left to feed it. You are standing at the beginning of the financial life I always intended for you, not a scaled-down version of it. Not the version that had been negotiated down through years of doubt and management and ceiling keeping. The original, the one I designed before anyone had a chance to speak a ceiling over it. The one that was in my mind when I was forming you and putting your gifts together and deciding what kind of life those gifts were built to produce. That life is available to you. That life is coming toward you right now. The signs I described are already in motion. The opportunity is already preparing to return. The financial movement is already starting from the direction they said was impossible, and they will see it, my daughter. They will see it because you cannot hide a life that God is openly blessing. They will see it because the fruit of restored gift is visible. They will see it because what I do in your life in this next season will be impossible to explain any other way. And in the moment of seeing it, they will have to reckon with what they gave up access to, not with cruelty from me, not as punishment, simply as the natural consequence of witnessing the fullness of what they chose to suppress. But you, my daughter, will not be watching them watch you. You will be too busy walking in what I have for you. I love you. I am proud of you. Go.